I don't even know if I use the word oxymoron correctly, but it sounded good.
Congruent, oxymoron. The big words are flying today.
Once pop gets over 2 syllables, he starts to get a little seasick. We like to keep it simple. Pop, what's going on, man?
Here we go, the grind. Starting the grind.
The grind is on, guys. We are here for our first pregame podcast. I know some of y'all might be thinking, what do you mean pregame? It's preseason, baby. And that means the boys are out there. If the burgundy and gold got to suit up as if it's a game and prepare as if it's a game, the Dom and Pop are preparing as if it's a game. Here we are recording a new pregame podcast for you guys. One of you guys has a fresh Jaden Daniels jersey to enjoy the season with. So head back to the last episode and check that. If you did enter the giveaway, we did announce it in that episode. So, Pop, what do you say we get into it today?
Let's do it. This is just to let everyone know this is our normal cadence during the season. We do a post-game pod that comes out Monday mornings, and then a pregame pod that usually comes out Thursday mornings. So this is kind of following that cadence. Yep. May not be a regular thing in the preseason, but definitely once the season starts, we'll be locked in and giving you 2 pods a week. So I know we've been doing a bit of a different vibe or clip release on Thursdays, but you'll be getting brand new pods twice a week. So boys will be grinding.
Boys will be grinding. It's going to be good stuff.
I've been doing 2-a-days personally to get ready for it.
There you go. Careful, though. Easy on that knee.
Exactly.
But we're getting right into it today. We're talking Jets joint practice and preseason game number 1. Probably won't spend a ton of time on joint practice just because by the time this comes out, you guys might have some new updates on the joint practice. We're going to talk more about the game that's coming up, what we're looking for that game. But just ahead of it, guys, today, you're hearing this joint practice is happening as you guys are listening to this today, Thursday. The Commanders are up in New York running with the Jets. So I thought, why don't we highlight some of the key matchups that we're keeping an eye out for or that we want to hear develop over the course of joint practice? What's some stuff you got your eye on, Pop?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got some good things noted here. I definitely think Aaron Rodgers against our secondary for a couple of reasons. How sharp does Aaron look just in general as an NFL fan? See that? And how does our secondary match up? You know, I know that's an area of concern that we have. So that'll be great to see. And then certainly seeing the obvious one, but seeing Jaden Daniels and our offensive line, I'm probably stealing all your thunder, go up against, you know, a different team, different scheme, see how they look. Because Jaden Daniels, the vibes continue to be running high with his performance. How's he dividing up reps, you know, in that session? You would imagine that he's going to get more and more of the first team reps. We know he's playing in the preseason game. Is he start?
We don't know. We saw yesterday in his presser, he was asked, or somebody said, Jaden, you'll be starting that preseason game, and he went, starting? He kind of he caught it right away. I don't know if it was intended to be a trap or if it was a misspeak. I think probably just a misspeak. But obviously that hasn't been announced yet. That will have to be announced. At least who plans on running with the ones for the first preseason game. It's going to be JD. I mean, is there any reason to believe
pretty certain about that?
Right? Yeah. No reason to believe.
You're not going to put him in with backups and risk injury. That's just really dumb.
I agree. And even if the plan is for him not to start week 1, you would still want him to get some reps with the ones in a game time. But we know that that's the plan anyways. For me, obviously, Jaden Daniels is always the number one thing, the main highlight, what we're looking out for, right? How is he dissecting that secondary? That Jets secondary is trouble. They are really, really good. I mean, the Jets defense as a whole, you got Javon Kinlaw at tackle, you got Quentin Williams at tackle, probably the best interior defensive line in the NFL. One of them, you've got Hassan Reddick on the edge and Jermaine Johnson on the edge as well. And then you've got Quincy Williams, Sauce Gardner, Chuck Clark, Tony Adams, DJ Reed, and Michael Carter all
pretty good.
Secondary. So they are loaded. They are loaded in the secondary. So that's the number one thing I'm looking forward to really kind of getting a grasp on. And aside from that, what I'm really looking for is going to be how our defense stacks up because they have a ton of weapons. And how does that defense stack up, particularly against the run game? Because we were atrocious against the run last year. And that was where a lot of our problems were coming was once Montez Sweat got traded, there was just no ability to seal the edge, and we were just getting absolutely cooked up on the ground. Secondary was terrible too, but the run defense was also really bad. And now we have added the most. The secondary we kind of retooled, and we added a couple pieces with Mike Saverstrell and Jeremy Chin and Michael Davis. But for the most part, a lot of the main investment on this defense was in that linebacking group, right? And we should see that against this Jets rush offense with Breece Hall at running back. He's a stud. He's one of the best running backs in the league. If you can contain him, it should be pretty interesting moving forward in terms of what we can get done.
I think that linebacking crew is a big key because, you rely on your D-line to kind of tie up those offensive linemen and hopefully peel off and make a play or two. But once they've done that, linebackers need to be able to step up and make those tackles in the run game, right? And I know the D-linemen will often be able to stuff the run game themselves, but, we know that they underperformed a bit last year, and I'm expecting good things there.
Yes.
But I agree. This Jets team and this practice is a big test out of the gate, especially for someone like Jaden Daniels. I think the defense will be all right, but I think for Jaden, that's a big test.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. And I think, defensively, Rodgers might not be the Rodgers that he was 3 years ago when he was winning back-to-back MVPs, right? But he is still Rodgers. And he'll still be able to find deficiencies. If there's glaring issues in that defense, he'll pick it apart. So what is his role? How much will he be practicing or how hard will he be practicing? We'll have to see. But I think the Jets will kind of do a good job of exposing deficiencies that we have offensively and defensively. So it should be interesting to see how that happens. And
the whole reason for these joint practices is it's in a controlled environment. So I don't expect that unless they're nursing an injury, I don't think guys are going to get held out for the joint practice. It's more likely, you'll hold people out of the preseason game. So I think we'll get Rodgers on full tilt unless he's got a trip to Egypt or something.
Yeah, you never know. You just never know.
Last minute.
You never know you have Rodgers in full tilt until he's literally in front of you. You can't expect anything else. Otherwise, some kind of.
If it was a regular season game, I'd get somebody to take him out, into the field somewhere.
Yeah,
you can get him inspired, but
turn all the lights off. But either way, I think those are kind of the key matchups we're looking for at joint practice, and then you've got your preseason game coming at you live on Saturday, 12 noon. So it's going to be
early
9 a.m. start for the boy. Early for me, it's going to be a full day. I got work after that, so that is going to be a long day, but we are going to, of course, get into it, react to it, and upload you guys a pod fresh at our normal time, breaking it all down. But ahead of it, we got some news. We may or may not have already recorded this podcast once and had to redo it because we got some quick news only hours after that Jaden Daniels will indeed play against the Jets. So we were saying in the first podcast, we didn't think he was going to play. Caleb Williams didn't play in the Hall of Fame game. A lot of the stories that have been coming out about the Commanders preseason have been saying that Daniels will probably play pretty sparingly. But in congruence with the whole Dan Quinn competition thing and everybody playing, he is going to play. So what are you looking out for Jaden Daniels in the preseason game, Pop? How much do you expect him to play? What are you kind of looking for once those game time snaps come on? So
first off, I love the decision. I will say that. I do want to say that. I think it's the right call. I think he's a rookie, right? And and a little bit different with Caleb Williams in the Hall of Fame game because that's that early preseason tilt. But I think that there's something to preparing for the game, getting out, going through your warm-up routine, and then coming out. And, I doubt it'll be more than a couple of series, I'd be surprised if it makes it to 3, no more than a quarter, I'm sure. But I think it's a great call to have him go out there and play. I'm sure that's going to be supported by a lot of the starters playing, unless they're nicked up. The only concern you'd have at this point is the status of the offensive line. We've had some key offensive linemen miss practice, and Wiley, Cosme, Lucas. So that's the only concern, right? I mean, you talked about how good that Jets defense is. Maybe they'll sit some guys, but we got to make sure we protect them. But I got a feeling that I've heard some of this coming from practice, the way Kingsbury is coaching them up, and like we've talked about, that building block approach and making sure that he can make things as easy on Jaden as he can, in terms of giving him opportunities to make plays and make quick decisions in that offense and keeping things as simplified as possible, and then sort of building from there. So, hopefully they'll protect him in that respect, in that regard, in terms of play calling. But yeah, I'm excited. It's the right decision. The right decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have gone either.
How cool is it that we get to see him play a real NFL game?
Selfishly, I'm incredibly excited about that.
Yeah.
I'd say I could have gone either way in terms of whether he played or not the first preseason game. I don't care a ton. I more care that he definitely gets in at least a full half of work against Miami, or a full quarter. I don't care so much how much he plays against the Jets here. But I will.
You only really got 2 you're going to play in, right? I mean, you're not going to play the third one. So. Yeah.
I think it'll be good. I think I want to see a lot of kind of quick passing, handoffs. Don't put them in a lot of trouble. If we are going to be doing 5 and 7 steps drops, it should be the ball's coming out as soon as that back foot gets down, right? I want to see things move kind of quickly. So you want to test his processing speed and his ability to pick up on things pre-snap in a situation where defenses will be trying not to give that away. In practice, you see the same looks, the same disguises, the same coverages over and over and over again. And you have an opportunity to stop, redo things, talk to somebody about it, pull the middle linebacker over and say, hey, what's the tell when you do this? How can I tell? Whatever. So the offense is a huge advantage in practice. But in a game, you're seeing new stuff. You're seeing stuff you've never seen before, and you don't have a chance to get it wrong. If you get it wrong, it might be an interception, might be a fumble, might get one of your guys hurt on a late ball over the middle. So we have to kind of see how that develops in game, but I don't want to see a ton of Jaden Daniels. I certainly don't want to see any designed runs or any scrambles. I think he needs to be told, hey man, if it's a situation of scramble, just throw the ball away. Take an intentional grounding penalty. It's the preseason. We'll be okay. So there's that, but I'm pretty excited to see Daniels play all in all. And I think I don't really want to see more than if they have one drive, if they go down the field and they have a 10-play, 75-yard touchdown drive to start.
There's no reason to keep them in there.
Pull them out. If they go 3 and out and maybe you want to give him one more sequence and see what happens, and then he, drives down a little bit, fine. But I don't want to see him take more than 15 snaps tops, maybe closer to 12 even. And, if it's 2 3 and outs and it's looking like he's not getting protection and whatever, get him out of there too.
Yeah.
Because bottom line is week 1, he's going to have to get hit one way or the other, right? But why deal with that now?
We have to have a little faith too. I think we're still so conditioned. This is not Ron Rivera's Commanders.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that DQ and Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Witt Jr. and the team have prepared these guys the right way. And I think that I'm nervous for Jaden because, maybe it does end up looking a little bit rough. And I would just caution the fans, don't panic.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, honestly, it'd be remarkable if it doesn't look a little rough, but in the other respect, to be more of the same of what we've been seeing from Jaden, and he seems to have handled every challenge that's coming this way. Like I said, I'm a little nervous for him, but the main thing is he comes out healthy and learns from it. That's the main thing.
100%. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to is that we're putting him in scenarios where He's going to learn. But again, I know a preseason game is not a fully controlled environment, but you want to try and control it as best you can. We don't care about winning. We don't care about scoring touchdowns. We just care about getting everybody out of there in one piece and evaluating what we feel like we need to evaluate. So speaking of evaluations, Dan Quinn, I'm just going to go right ahead and say it. He says Jaden Daniels is off to, quote, a remarkable start of training camp, and he is noting that he's getting through his reads and his processing time is ahead of schedule, and he's moving very fast, and he's getting through his reads very quick. And I think that is just congruent with everything we've been hearing about JD so far in terms of his ability to study, to get ahead of things, the changes that he made when he started at LSU last year, and we saw him kind of take off, and the fact that he's implementing those changes into his practice routine now with some of the virtual reality stuff, things of that nature. I think we're really starting to see the beginning of what could be a serious ascent.
Something special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've said it over and over again. Like when you hear Jaden Daniels get complimented, it's on his pocket presence. It's on his decision making. It's on his pre-snap reads. It's on all the stuff that, makes a great pocket passing quarterback. And we haven't even talked about his legs yet.
Yeah.
The fact that he might be the fastest quarterback to ever play, or one of them in the top 2 or 3 in history, right? In terms of, how he's been clocked on the field, running full sprint. So, I think that's what makes it exciting, is that not only is he potentially got those level of skills. I mean, you've got, guys like Zach Ertz comparing him to Andrew Luck, who he played with in college, right? But then you add in the legs and the ability to make plays that way as well. I think that's going to afford him some time to continue to develop and grow as a passer. And it's exciting, but I think we're here, Jets pregame. I mean, that's really going to be interesting to see how this translates to an actual game, right?
Definitely. Yeah, that's what I'm just really interested to see. And that's the crazy thing, is like his legs are almost getting lost in translation.
Which is amazing if you think about it. Which is
awesome. Because all everybody's talking about is how great he is in the pocket and what a presence he's been in terms of just being a pocket passer, and his ability his arm is what everybody's kind of talking about. He could spin one in when he needs to throw a fastball, and he can also throw touch and kind of layer it over the top of the DBs. And everybody's talking about how he has potential to turn into an elite pocket passer. And we're forgetting this guy's got 4.3 speed. He was clock running 22 miles an hour on the field last year. So, it is really a recipe for something great if things can continue on the trajectory they're continuing on, and everybody stays healthy. But, that even the fact that it's the pocket passing is what's blowing people away is even more encouraging, because let's say he was just running past everybody at camp, and it was like a RG3 2.0 situation, which, we're done comparing the two. But let's say it was a situation like that where it's a guy that's just got track speed and blazing and doing all these wow plays. You do worry about if he twists an ankle, if he pulls a hamstring, there's going to be a huge drop off. But if he has that ability in the pocket, that creates a longevity, and that takes out a small percentage of that injury worry, in that, okay, if he has a little bit of a bum ankle, he can still throw the ball. He doesn't have to rely on those legs.
Well, if you got an efficient passer, it's already enough of a headache for a defense. But if then all of a sudden, you think you got him trapped, he's able to escape, and he makes a 30-yard run down the field. That takes the soul of a defense.
Yeah,
it really does,
for sure. It'll really just completely, having those two abilities, and the fact that if he is such a prolific pocket passer as they're showing, just being able to be like, yeah, you can't blow contain on this guy, because he will also blow the doors off you. And you see at the end of the day, when defenses, I won't name names, but certain dual threat quarterbacks, when defenses really force them to dissect you from the pocket all day long, that has sort of become an answer to the dual threat quarterback right now, because we just haven't seen these guys take off. But when you combine the ability to glide the way he can down the field and that pocket passing, I mean, you have something really special. So let's hope it all holds. Let's hope he continues on the trajectory. There will be bumps. There will be 3 interceptions, 0 touchdown games where you go, what the hell is going on today? But overall, let's hope things continue on that track. Pop, you got something quick for us?
I do, in terms of other things to watch for the game.
Definitely.
I'm really growing nervous about the offensive line, more and more so. And I'll tell you why. It's not so much can we piece together a decent starting unit. I think, if anything, probably the starting unit, you might argue, is exceeding expectations. Brandon Coleman coming along. But when we see guys get nicked and we had to go to the backups, the drop off, by all reports, is drastic. And offensive linemen will get nicked and will get hurt. And I think we need to seriously be in the market for maybe picking up a couple of vets that come available to shore up that depth. Because when you start to talk about, you get beyond maybe that top 6 lineman, who else you got?
Yeah.
And I know that you've questioned Allegretti a little bit, but he's definitely in that top 6. And the drop-off from there seems significant from what we're hearing in the reporting. So in terms of what to watch, I definitely want to watch this offensive line. We're banking on Brandon Coleman. Early reports are good, but it's also a little scary that this 3rd-round draft pick is a key rotation guy at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm ultra nervous. I want to just, if there's anything to bring us a little bit back down to earth, it's that offensive line situation.
It's just a really kind of nerve-wracking situation when you see these guys start to get nicked up, and it's like the starters are already not quite up to snuff at the tackle position, and we see Cornelius Lucas missing some time for off-the-field stuff, I believe, and then you've got Andrew Wiley kind of nicked up and not at 100%, and then you got, I think there was a Trent Scott injury or something along those lines, and you're like, yeah, it's Brandon Coleman and it's Braden Daniels out there right now. Ugh.
Trent Scott apparently looked pretty rough when he got his reps. So
yeah, so I do think some kind of veteran tackle presence, some kind of depth could be of use there. Who knows? Maybe there's a little joint practice going on. Morgan Moses gets a hankering for some of the old food he had in D.C. after he sees the burgundy and gold, and Adam Peters says, hey, you know what? How about a 5th rounder? How about a 6th rounder? Why don't we bring Morgan home? Would never happen. Morgan's obviously been balling since he left D.C. He was one of our best linemen when he was here. But anyway, I digress. We continue to move forward, and I think, that's the depth on the offensive line is going to be the number one thing I'm looking at in terms of backups and some other guys there that we're keeping an eye on. But, Pop, what do you say we wrap this thing up, man? It's been a tight little 20-minute podcast. We usually keep them a little shorter in season, a little more focused, which for us, calling something focused is an oxymoron, but we try.
They're promises.
Yeah, so tighter, more focused. I don't even know if I use the word oxymoron correctly, but it sounded good.
Congruent, oxymoron, the big words are flying today.
Once Pop gets over 2 syllables, he starts to get a little seasick. We like to keep it simple here on the Dom and Pop show. But anyways, what do you say we wrap this thing up, Pop?
I think it's a good idea.
All right. Well, without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
And thank you for another great week.